Shalom, 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 Israel. This is Captain Paul Israel from Kingdom Builders of Israel, LLC. And today's class topic is going to be on Yahshua's Words of Wisdom video. And this is going to be part one. Again, this class video is going to be on Yahshua's Words of Wisdom. Okay, we did the visuals a few months back to show you that this video was coming. Okay, so this is going to be a good understanding on Yahshua's words of wisdom that he gave to the children of Israel to know about. Okay, whether they was the scribes and Pharisees or whether they was his disciples. Okay, so he put the information out there to the ones that he wanted to hear his words of wisdom. Okay, so this is what this lesson is about, to show Israel, you blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, on Yahshua's words of wisdom. Okay, and we're going to start out in the book of Luke chapter 17 verse 20. So Israel, get out your pen and your notepad and get to taking notes. Okay, because this is a good quick lesson on Yahshua's words of wisdom. Okay, so this is the book of Luke chapter 17 verse 20. Okay, it says, and when he was demanded of the Pharisees. So now this is going into the Pharisees now questioning Christ, the black Messiah. Okay, that's what that's getting into. And when he was demanded of the Pharisees, when the kingdom of Elohim should come, because again, the Pharisees will say, hey, when this kingdom of Elohim gonna come? When it should come? Let's see what Christ is gonna say. He answered them and said, so Yahshua the black Messiah is answering these Pharisees who were hypocrites in general, or men that despise Christ, right, or despise the laws of the Most High by being hypocrites, because most of the time the Pharisees were teaching Yahweh's laws, but they themselves were not applying it in the right manner and not in the right spirit. Okay, so Christ is going to let them know this is when the kingdom of Elohim gonna get here. Okay, but he's going to explain on a spiritual note though. And when and when he was demanded of the Pharisees, when the kingdom of Elohim shall come, he answered them and said. So now Christ is going to answer these Pharisees the question that they answer. He's going to answer them. He says, the kingdom of Elohim cometh not with observation. Whoa, 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 wait a minute. You see this, Israel? Yahshua says, the kingdom of Elohim cometh not with observation. So it's not something that you just going to look up in the sky and then boom, it's just bam, kingdom of heaven right here. But they was looking at it from a physical standpoint of the kingdom of Elohim. But Christ is going to get spiritual where the kingdom of heaven is going to be at, primarily. Okay? Let's go to the next verse. Luke chapter 17, verse 21. Luke chapter 17, verse 21, to get the understanding. It says, neither shall they say, lo here or lo there. So you're not going to say, oh, the kingdom of heaven is over here, the kingdom of heaven is over there. This is the understanding. Christ now is going to go spiritual where the kingdom of heaven is going to be at. See, Christ was spiritual. See, they thinking on the physical sense about the kingdom of heaven, okay? But Christ is going spiritual. It says, neither shall they say, lo here or lo there. For behold, the kingdom of Elohim is within you. Whoa, wait a minute. See that, Israel? Now that's deep. See, everybody's waiting on the kingdom of heaven to get established on earth, but the kingdom of heaven of Elohim is within you, you Hebrew Israelites. Notice who Christ is talking to. He's talking to the Pharisees that were Hebrew Israelites. You know what I'm saying? He was not talking to the so-called white man. He was not talking to the so-called African man. He was not talking to the so-called Arab man. Okay? He was talking to Hebrew Israelites. He said the kingdom of Elohim is within you. So you're trying to find out where the kingdom of heaven is going to be at and where it's going to be established is within you first. Meaning you have to work out your own salvation, Israel. You have to get your life right. Okay, stop worrying about the physical kingdom of heaven. You have to worry about the spiritual kingdom of heaven that's within you as an individual. Because you're not going to gain access to the kingdom of heaven that's going to be actually established on earth if yourself as an individual have not changed your ways. If you have not changed your ways, you don't need to be worrying about where the kingdom of heaven is going to be at or when it's going to get here. right? The only people that need to be worried about when the kingdom of heaven on earth gets here is what? When them people worked out their own salvation. Them people repented of their sins. Them people followed Christ's spirit. Them people showed love to their neighbors, who are their fellow Hebrew Israelite brothers and sisters. Those people are going to be worried about the kingdom of heaven. But the ones that's in the world that do not want to focus on getting themselves right, they don't need to be worrying about when the kingdom of heaven gets here. You know what I'm saying? Because they're not going to be able to enter in because they didn't change their life. And that's what Christ was telling the Pharisees. Okay, it starts from within you. Okay, the kingdom of heaven, understanding. Okay, we're going to go to Colossians chapter 3, verse 23. And this is, of course, Apostle Paul who wrote the book of Colossians. But Apostle Paul is going to say something similar to how the Messiah was speaking to the Pharisees. So, again, the spirit of Christ was within Paul. Okay, the spirit of Yahshua HaMashiach was in Paul the apostle. Okay, so this is why he's going to say something similar in the book of Colossians. This is the book of Colossians chapter 3, verse 23. And it says, and whatsoever ye do, do it heartily as to Yahweh and not unto men. So when you do things, right, you don't do it to be pleased by men. So when you come into this truth, you don't do it so you can show off how much you know. You do it for the pleasing of the Lord. You do it for the pleasing of the nation of Israel, to edify them to come to truth. You don't do it for your own pleasure to put yourself on a pedestal. And that's what, of course, the Pharisees was doing. Doing certain things to be appeased or pleased by other men. Okay, so they can look at them as basically high regard. But no, Yahweh wants you to do things on a more spiritual note, that you're doing this truth because you care about the Most High. The Most High comes first. And not unto men, not unto other men to be pleased over. No, you do this for the truth. You do this to serve Yahweh through his son Yahshua HaMashiach's spirit. Okay? So now we go to the next verse to get to the point. Colossians chapter 3, verse 24. It says, knowing that Yahweh ye shall receive the reward of the inheritance, for ye serve Yahshua HaMashiach. So when you serve Yahshua HaMashiach, guess what? You're going to get the inheritance of everlasting life, which is the reward. Okay? Which is the reward. That's what you're supposed to do, Israel. Not just be playing all these games and then just don't think about Yahweh and don't think about Yahshua HaMashiach. That's what it said, knowing that of Yahweh ye shall receive the reward of the inheritance. Right? For ye serve Yahshua HaMashiach. So you have to serve Christ, serve the Black Messiah, by repenting, by acknowledging who you are, what you need to do. Because you go back to Colossians 3, verse 23, it says, and whatsoever ye do, do it heartily as to the Lord, or as to Yahweh, and not unto men. So coming to this truth, you're not supposed to come to this truth because you want to appease to other men. No, you do it for the Lord. Okay? So you may not get the support by a lot of brethren in this truth. Who cares? You do it for Yahweh. You push this truth out for Yahweh through Yahshua HaMashiach's spirit. Right? That's why we do this platform. Right? We don't do this platform about numbers and getting accepted by a lot of people. No, we do this truth to serve the Most High through Yahshua's spirit. It says, for ye serve Yahshua HaMashiach, to get the reward of the inheritance. That's what all our people that come to the Hebrew Israelite understanding, that's what y'all's concern need to be about, the reward of the inheritance. And you get that by serving Christ. Serving Christ by what? Following his example and obeying Yahweh. Okay? That's how you're going to get the understanding. Then it says, John chapter 6, verse 27. This is Christ speaking again in this understanding. Because we went, at first we started in the book of Luke. Then we went to Colossians when we get to Apostle Paul saying to get the inheritance, you have to follow Christ, right? You have to accept Christ as your Lord and Savior in general, right? But you also have to have the spirit of understanding, not to do things to show off and be boastful amongst other people, but you're supposed to do it based upon this truth of your love for Yahweh and your love for Yahshua. Okay, you got to show both patterns of good works. So now we go to the book of John, chapter 6, verse 27, to get another understanding of Yahshua's words of wisdom, okay, to his people that he was talking to, who are the Hebrew Israelites. Okay, John chapter 6, verse 27. It says, labor not for the meat which perisheth, but for that meat which endureth unto everlasting life, which the Son of Man shall give unto you, for him hath Elohim the Father sealed. You see this, Israel? So again, we're not supposed to be laboring just for the riches or just for food in general, but in general, this goes into riches, because riches in meat eventually gets old, rots away, or riches eventually gets faded away when different superpowers that's coming amongst the earth replaces that currency. Okay, but it says, but labor for that meat which endureth unto everlasting life. So the meat that endureth unto everlasting life is Yahweh's law, statutes, and commandments. That's basically going to be enduring unto everlasting life. Yahweh's law, statutes, and commandments. So that's what we're supposed to be laboring to obtain, to get the understanding of Yahweh's righteousness. That's the meat. Okay, and we do it through the Son of the Most High. We do it through the Son of the Most High, who's the Black Messiah. And it says, for him have Elohim the Father sealed. Because Yahweh sealed Yahshua to get the understanding of his basically of his inheritance on earth, right? Because Christ's kingdom is going to be here on earth. And you're going to be sealed along with Christ, the Black Messiah, to reign in his kingdom when you focus on Yahweh's righteousness. Because Yahshua already going to get the kingdom of heaven. You know what I'm saying? He did the works to attain getting the kingdom established on earth by following his Father, the Most High Yah, who's Yahweh's righteousness. Okay? Yahshua had to do the work to get righteousness, to be able to establish his kingdom on earth by keeping his Father's commandments. So if Yahshua had to do it, the rest of the children of Israel have to do the same. Okay? Yahweh has no respect of persons. We already know that understanding, Israel. So now we got the understanding that we need to be laboring or put in works for that meat, which is Yahweh's righteousness, his commandments, which endure unto everlasting life, because you get everlasting life by keeping Yahweh's law, statutes, and commandments. So that's what we need to be laboring for. That's the works we need to be laboring for. To prove that the labor is Yahweh's law, statutes, and commandments, because labor is a form of work. So labor is working. So we got to find out what type of labor we supposed to do, or what type of work we supposed to do that says it's the commandments. Because most Christians will read this, or most people in general read this, they'll say, oh, they ain't saying nothing about no commandments. But let's get the understanding what the laboring is, what we're supposed to labor or work toward, what's supposed to be our works. Okay, precept upon precept. Okay. This is 2nd Ezra chapter 9 verse 7. This is in the book of the Apocrypha for my new viewers. Okay, this is the book of 2nd Ezra chapter 9 verse 7. And this particular Ezra is the same Ezra from the Old Testament. Okay, Ezra is the Greco-Latin name for Ezra. Okay, so this is the book of 2nd Ezra chapter 9 verse 7. It says, and everyone that shall be saved, because everyone that shall be saved. It didn't say everyone is going to be saved. It said everyone that shall be saved. So that's a future prophecy. Okay, contrary to what these Christians are talking about, that they're saved already. Okay, which is a lie. And it says, and everyone that shall be saved and shall be able to escape by his works. So you have to have your own works, you Hebrew Israelites, you blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. Okay, you have to do works as well, not just watch videos on YouTube. You have to be putting things in action, whether it's passing out flyers, sharing this truth, and actually also living according to the word that you're sharing. So it's a work in progress. So this is what you're supposed to be laboring, because we use that word labor. Now we got another word called works. Same thing. It says shall be able to escape by his works. Talking about when escaping, that's talking about from the wrath of the Most High. You're going to be able to escape from the judgment of the Most High by your works, by your deeds. Okay, by his works, and by faith. So talking about by your faith through Christ's blood being shed, by grace and mercy that you believe on Christ, the black Messiah, you're going to be saved by his works and by faith, whereby ye have believed. So that's how you show that you believe, right? You believe in the Messiah, you believe in Yahweh by your works. So your works have to show everything in general with the works and by faith. So you have to have Christ in it, and you have to be your own personal works. Has to mimic Christ, basically. Has to follow the pattern of Christ's spirit. That's why it's saying by faith. That's how you're going to be saved. It didn't say nowhere in there you're going to be saved by joining religion. It didn't say that nowhere in this verse, did it? It didn't say nothing about going to such and such church to be saved. It didn't say that, did it? It said saved by his works and by faith, whereby ye have believed. Okay? That's point blank, period. It didn't say nothing about joining religion. That's man-made stuff. Okay? Yeah. Let's go to Ecclesiasticus chapter 32 verse 23. This is the book of Ecclesiasticus chapter 32 verse 23. And again, this is in the book of the Apocrypha. Okay, you can name it Sirach or Ecclesiasticus chapter 32 verse 23. Okay, it says, in every good work, that word again, good work, or we could say labor, every good labor, just like we read in the book of let's say go back, just like we read in the book of John, where it says labor, right? Instead of saying work, it says labor. Same thing. Okay, Ecclesiasticus chapter 32 verse 23. And every good work, trust thy own soul, for this is the keeping of the commandments. Whoa, wait a minute. You see this, Israel? You see what the work and the labor is, right? It said, for this is the keeping of the commandments. So this is what the precept is, to show that the works of the Most High that you're going to be saved on, right? The works of the Most High that you're going to be saved on is these commandments. When you go back to 2nd Ezra chapter 9 verse 7, it said, and everyone that shall be saved and shall be able to escape by his works, or his working towards these commandments, based, that's what that's getting into, and by faith, talking about by faith of Christ, the Most High's Son, right? You have faith in the black Messiah, whereby ye have believed. So you have to have both components. Okay? You have to have both components. Ecclesiasticus chapter 32 verse 23 again. It said, in every good work, trust our own soul, for this is the keeping of the commandments. So the good works that we supposed to live by and do, Israel, is keeping of Yahweh's commandments. Point blank, period. Okay? So that's how you're going to be saved and delivered. Okay? And also we go back to Luke chapter 17 verse 20, and it says, and when he was demanded of the Pharisees when the kingdom of Elohim should come, he answered them and said, the kingdom of Elohim cometh not with observation. So now we got the understanding what Christ was saying. It does not come with just observation. It comes from what? Within you, when you put things in action. You have to put the works in action. Work the commandments, because the commandments come from the heavens. Okay? That's a heavenly understanding. So now you implement the heavenly understanding on earth. That's how you get the kingdom of heaven to be established on earth within you as an individual, male and female. Okay, by pushing this work of truthfulness to your people, to be a light to Israel. So Christ himself said, the kingdom of Elohim cometh not with observation. That's point blank, period. Because the kingdom first starts within you as an individual. And we now know the works that we must do to obtain the kingdom of heaven on earth to be established. What the children of Israel have to do, we have to work on ourselves and keep Yahweh's commandments to the best of our ability to obtain the kingdom of Elohim that's going to come on this earth in the future. Okay, so other than that, Israel, hopefully you enjoyed this quick class video on Yahshua words of wisdom video part 1. And other than that, Israel, appreciate the support and love. Subscribe to this Kingdom Builders of Israel LLC YouTube channel for more videos. And other than that, Israel, appreciate the love and support. And more truth of this information is going to come out on Yahshua's words of wisdom. Other than that, Israel, shalom.